Next week, Manhattan's federal courthouse will become the stage for one of the most explosive trials in recent memory. Sean Diddy Combs, hip hop titan, business mogul, cultural icon, will stand before a jury accused of orchestrating a racketeering conspiracy and facilitating sex trafficking. The question on everyone's mind: how does a man who built an empire on rhythm and swagger find himself fighting for his freedom? From the first gavel strike on Monday, May 12th, every moment will crackle with tension. Cameras won't be allowed in the courtroom, but the world will watch every twist and turn through live news feeds and social media updates. And behind the black robes and legalese, a fierce contest of narratives will unfold. Prosecutors determined to prove that power was abused, and a defense team painting these allegations as exaggerated rumors designed to undermine a global superstar. But that's only the beginning. The indictment reads like a blockbuster thriller: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and even a conspiracy to commit forced labor, all leveled against a man whose very brand thrived on swagger and influence. Prosecutors allege that Combs and a cadre of lieutenants recruited women under false promises, then controlled everything from their schedules to their finances, coercing them into exploitative situations. If a single count sticks, Combs could face decades behind bars. A full conviction across all charges carries the possibility of life in prison, a far cry from the red carpet premieres and champagne celebrations that once defined his public image. But that wasn't even the boldest play the U.S. attorney had in store. They didn't just pick any trial team. Every single one of the lead prosecutors is a woman. 6 fierce litigators hand-selected to stand shoulder to shoulder with the alleged victims. At the head of the pack is Marie Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, fresh off high-profile cases against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Flanking her are Emily Johnson, Madison Smizer, Christy Slavic, and Mitzi Steiner, an all-star squad united by one mission: to ensure every survivor feels heard. From opening statements to closing arguments, expect them to press the human story at every turn. And their strategy is clear: show that abuse of power knows no bounds. Yet on the opposite side stands a defense determined to rewrite the narrative. Combs' lead attorney portrays this not as exploitation, but as a consensual lifestyle, an orchestration of rumors and scandal designed to topple a cultural icon. They've hinted at mutual encounters and cast doubt on each accuser's motives. According to them, Diddy thrives on controversy. He even welcomes debate, but that bravado masks a single truth: one juror's doubt is all it takes to tip the scales. Still, the prosecution believes its strongest case lies ahead, with key witnesses ready to testify under tight security. Ex-partner Cassie Ventura, who settled a civil suit last year, is expected to take the stand. 3 or 4 other women, some speaking under pseudonyms, will share intimate details of their contact with Combs. Their stories, unfiltered and firsthand, could redefine public perception of the man, once celebrated for chart-topping hits and red carpet flair. As jury selection wraps and opening arguments loom, every statement will be measured for impact. Will the jury see Diddy the way fans remember him, or the way these women say he really is? Next, we'll dive into the witnesses who could make or break this trial. Next, the spotlight will shift to the women whose voices could decide Diddy's fate. First up is Cassie Ventura, the singer and former partner who settled a civil suit last year. Her testimony could be the most electrifying moment of the trial. She's expected to recount everything from the first time she met him to the alleged incidents that prompted her lawsuit, and the courtroom will hang on her every word. Just the thought of her describing private encounters in a packed federal courtroom sends a chill through even the staunchest spectators. Behind her, 3 or 4 other women, some identified by initials, others under court-ordered pseudonyms, will step forward. Each of their journeys is different. Some will speak of coercion and fear, others of broken promises and shattered trust. The prosecution plans to move swiftly from one to the next, building a mosaic of allegations that they hope jurors can't ignore. Security will be tighter than ever. Every witness will be escorted in and out under heavy guard, and the defense will strain to poke holes in their stories, questioning motives, timelines, even their memories. But witnesses don't tell the whole tale. This trial will hinge on how credibly the prosecution can tie testimony to hard evidence: photographs, text messages, financial records, while the defense scrambles to reframe those same documents as coincidences or misunderstandings. In the next act, we'll break down how opening statements will set the battleground and why every word could echo far beyond these walls. When opening statements kick off, all eyes will lock on the podium as Marie Comey steps forward first. She'll paint a vivid portrait of power manipulated, how glamorous hotel suites and private jets became stages for coercion, and how Combs's wealth and fame insulated him from accountability. Expect her to lean into crisp, emotionally charged language. Promises broken, voices silenced, justice denied, and to close with an unambiguous plea. If the jury believes these women, it must hold him to account. Moments later, the defense will rise. Their lead attorney will adopt a calmer tone, almost conversational, aiming to sow doubt from the first sentence. Rather than contest every accusation head-on, they'll frame the entire trial as a rush to judgment, fueled by rumors and media sensationalism. You won't see any smoking gun, they'll remind jurors. These are threads loosely tied together, stories shaped after the fact. Their goal: make every witness's memory wobble. Every piece of evidence seems circumstantial, and every accusation feel driven more by publicity than truth. But words alone won't decide this case. As the trial unfolds, prosecutors will unleash texts, emails, and financial ledgers. Each message and money transfer a puzzle piece in their narrative. The defense will counter with alternative explanations for every document. A friendly text mistaken for coercion, a loan misread as payment for services. And between these dueling explanations, jurors will be forced to choose which story rings truest. By the time closing arguments arrive, the stakes could not be higher. Diddy's legacy, his freedom, and perhaps a broader reckoning over the intersection of celebrity and accountability will hang in the balance. In our final segment, we'll explore how those climactic speeches could sway the jury's hearts, and why this trial will resonate far beyond the courthouse walls. When opening statements kick off, all eyes will lock on the podium as Marie Comey steps forward first. She'll paint a vivid portrait of power manipulated, how glamorous hotel suites and private jets became stages for coercion, and how Combs's wealth and fame insulated him from accountability. Expect her to lean into crisp, emotionally charged language, promises broken, voices silenced, justice denied, and to close with an unambiguous plea. If the jury believes these women, it must hold him to account. Moments later, the defense will rise. Their lead attorney will adopt a calmer tone, almost conversational, aiming to sow doubt from the first sentence. Rather than contest every accusation head-on, they'll frame the entire trial as a rush to judgment, fueled by rumors and media sensationalism. You won't see any smoking gun, they'll remind jurors. These are threads loosely tied together, stories shaped after the fact. Their goal: make every witness's memory wobble, every piece of evidence seem circumstantial, and every accusation feel driven more by publicity than truth. But words alone won't decide this case. As the trial unfolds, prosecutors will unleash texts, emails, and financial ledgers. Each message and money transfer a puzzle piece in their narrative. The defense will counter with alternative explanations for every document. A friendly text mistaken for coercion, a loan misread as payment for services. And between these dueling explanations, jurors will be forced to choose which story rings truest. By the time closing arguments arrive, the stakes could not be higher. Diddy's legacy, his freedom, and perhaps a broader reckoning over the intersection of celebrity and accountability will hang in the balance. In our final segment, we'll explore how those climactic speeches could sway the jury's hearts, and why this trial will resonate far beyond the courthouse walls. But evidence isn't human emotion alone. Mid-trial, the prosecution will pivot from stories to screens, presenting a trove of text messages, emails, and bank transfers that map Combs's world in cold, undeniable detail. You'll see a private jet receipt sent the very night an alleged victim arrived in Miami. You'll hear an exchange where promises of support morph into demands for silence. And you'll watch witnesses scroll through photo grids, identifying Combs in snapshots that prosecutors argue show him orchestrating the very encounters he now disputes. The defense will fight back with alternative readings, insisting a travel voucher was a friendly favor, that a money transfer was a loan between pals. But each explanation will feel like a puzzle piece forced to fit. Jurors will lean forward, tracking every number, every timestamp, weighing whether these documents are innocuous coincidences or the keystones of a conspiracy. And when it all boils down to closing arguments, both sides will make their final play for your heart. Marie Comey will return to the podium, voice steady, reminding jurors that power without accountability is a recipe for continued harm, and that these women came forward at great personal cost just to be heard. The defense will counter with one last plea for reason. that fame makes a convenient target, that doubt must always prevail where certainty cannot be found. Then it's out of their hands. The jury will retreat to deliberate, carrying the weight of a verdict that could redefine what happens when celebrity meets the law. In the end, this trial is more than a legal showdown. It's a test of how our society balances fame and justice. Will a superstar's fortune and influence prove too hefty a shield? Or will the voices of those who say they were hurt pierce the armor of celebrity? As the jury files back into that courtroom, remember this: their decision will echo far beyond these walls. It will shape the conversation on power, privilege, and the price we pay when we place anyone above accountability. But the courtroom drama isn't confined to witness stands and exhibits. Outside, a media circus swirls. TV vans parked curbside, reporters vying for sound bites, social feeds lighting up with every snippet of coverage. Jurors file in each morning, escorted through a separate entrance, shielded from public view to preserve impartiality. Yet the world still watches, dissecting every nuance. A juror's furrowed brow, a momentary shift in posture when an exhibit is unveiled. And on the sidewalks, protesters and supporters gather, some holding signs demanding accountability, others rallying behind Diddy's right to due process. This spectacle underscores a harsh reality. In today's era of round-the-clock coverage, a trial isn't just decided by evidence. It's fought on the battleground of public opinion, too. Mid-trial brings its own twists. The defense files motions to exclude certain text messages as prejudicial, while the prosecution counters with fresh evidence, a secretly recorded rehearsal of a song session, in which prosecutors claim Combs's tone shifts abruptly when a woman questions her role. The judge's rulings on these motions can sway momentum. A single barred document or a loud recording may feel like tipping one side's scale. Jurors take notes, scribbling page and line numbers, but they'll only deliberate once both sides rest. Until then, every midday recess reignites speculation. Will the defense succeed in undermining key exhibits, or will prosecutors keep their full playbook? As testimony winds down, tensions peak when Combs briefly appears on the stand under a limited subpoena. He enters confidently, dressed in navy and white, but the courtroom hushes as he takes the oath. Questions are pointed and controlled. Did you ever coerce anyone into staying silent? Have you ever offered monetary compensation for non-disclosure agreements? Each answer is a careful dance, admitting friendships and business dealings, yet adamantly denying any coercion. His voice is measured, sometimes pausing as if considering each word. The moment crystallizes the trial's core dilemma, a collision of charisma and culpability, of larger-than-life persona and gravest allegations. Then comes closing day. The prosecution, led again by Marie Comey, delivers a blistering finale. She reminds jurors that power without accountability is dangerous, that these women sacrificed their privacy and risked public scrutiny because they sought justice, not headlines. Her voice softens as she reads a final text message from one accuser. "I just want the man I loved to stop hurting people." The defense follows, urging jurors to reject hindsight bias, warning that fame makes a convenient target and uncertainty must favor the accused. If you have any doubt, they implore, you must return not guilty. Each side pauses, letting those words hang in the air like a challenge. And then the jury vanishes behind closed doors. Their task: review stacks of binders, re-examine exhibits, reconcile testimony with timelines. Days stretch into a week. Meanwhile, the courthouse public square remains charged. Strangers greeting each other with one question: have they reached a verdict? Speculation runs wild. Will it be a narrow acquittal on some counts and conviction on others? Or a sweeping decision that reshapes the narrative around celebrity and accountability? On verdict day, tension is palpable. Reporters whisper, cameramen ready their lenses, and in comes the jury. A lineup of faces unreadable behind face masks. The four-person stands, voice tense but clear. We, the jury, find Sean Combs. Silence. Every breath catches. When the final word falls, cheers and groans reverberate through the hallways like thunder. A verdict either frees him to rebuild his brand or sends shockwaves through music, fashion, and media industries alike. But the story doesn't end there. If guilty, Combs faces a sentencing hearing weeks later. Another high-stakes moment where victims and character witnesses will plead for leniency or justice. The guideline range could call for decades behind bars, but judges can depart based on factors like his philanthropic record or genuine remorse. If acquitted, he emerges vindicated in the public eye. But questions linger. Will sponsors return? Will collaborators distance themselves? And for the women who testified, will justice feel complete when the gavel falls? Beyond the courtroom, the ripple effects will be far-reaching. In boardrooms and studios, executives will reconsider risk. How far does fame shield us? And when does accountability pierce even the thickest celebrity armor? Legal analysts will dissect every ruling for future precedent. Will motions to exclude digital evidence become more or less viable? Students of pop culture will debate. Did this trial mark a turning point, or merely another footnote in the ongoing saga of power and privilege? At its heart, this trial is a mirror held up to society, reflecting our values, our blind spots, our hunger for both justice and spectacle. The verdict, whatever it is, won't just decide one man's fate. It will echo in conversations about consent, celebrity, and the boundaries of influence. And as the courtroom doors finally swing shut on this chapter, one question will linger louder than any headline. At what cost do we let icons become immune to accountability? And how do we ensure no one truly stands above the law?